What's up, everybody? Coming to you live from my parents' house, or as one TikTok commenter likes to say, my parents' basement, talking out of my ass. We got episode 12 of the Changavi Aftershow. For those of you that are new, welcome. It's your first episode. Welcome to the crib. Welcome to my bedroom floor, the best place where everybody likes to be when talking shit about the world. No, I'm kidding. I hope y'all are doing well, though. Hope y'all are staying safe. I'm wearing my fuzzy socks. It's late at night, and I am just excited to talk with you guys about all the various things that are on my mind that are not appropriate for the Changafi show. So, why don't we just hop right in? Because I have like hella thoughts, and I'm going to deliver them to you, and you do with them whatever you please. So, let's do it, bro. This is the first thought that I had. This week. This is something I've been thinking about because a lot of people in our generation, and I've kind of statistically tracked this through my questions of the night. For those of you that follow me on Instagram at the Changavi Show and all other social media platforms. By the way, if you're on the Changavi, if you like the Changavi Show, so at the Changavi Show on all social media platforms. Anyway, I've been doing a lot of questions of the night, a lot of polls, also talking with a lot of people. And there's this growing narrative and growing sensation that people really want to leave America. Why do people want to leave? I don't know why people want to leave America, but there's this growing hatred towards the country that these people grew up in. And I've noticed that a lot of people do not want to live in the U.S. And so that got me thinking, hypothetically. So I kind of stand on the opposite end of that spectrum because I'm someone who is very much about America. I want to live here. I like it here. I like how I can talk whatever I want and say whatever I want and not get arrested and beheaded by cops. I like how I can basically do what I want as long as I don't harm other people. And as long as I'm relatively safe, no one gives a shit. So I like that about America. And I like those basic principles and fundamental rights that I have that maybe in other countries, I might have to a certain extent, but I don't honestly know. And also culturally, I think in America, I fit in more than I would in other parts of the world. But that got me thinking. I was like, yo, okay, listen, Brody, where do you think that you would fit in if you had to choose one of the, of various countries, if I had to live anywhere besides America? So I came up with like a little bit of a list, and I'm interested to see like what y'all think of my list, and then we can talk about what your list would be. Right? I went through literally all 156 eligible countries by the Almanac of the World, and I decided. And I went through all of them, skimmed through a lot of them because a lot of them are island nations with like 5 people on them. So I quite frankly don't think I would fit in. But if the island life is for you, the island life is for you. I know people from the islands. I know people from the islands. They're great. They're great. It's just not a lifestyle I could do personally. Hawaii is very different, right? Because it's well, first of all, it's in the US, so I can't pick it. Well, I could pick the US, so I guess anywhere in the United States. Second of all, island life is just different, man. You got to be built different to be on the islands, is what I've realized. Anyway, okay, so my 5 countries that I think I could theoretically live in are Australia, England. It's not even 5, it's like 6. 5 for sure, 6 maybes. Okay, can we just do a list? Fuck you, Anuj. Okay, my 5 eligible countries: Australia, England, Canada, the US, Germany, the Netherlands, and Italy. Maybe Italy. Okay, I'll just start with Australia, break it down real quick. I'll do this in like a minute. Australia, see, I could live in Australia because I feel like it's just America, and in a lot of ways, except in just like a different hemisphere of the world. They're like 5 time zones ahead of me in the West Coast, but I mean, it's a relatively similar life in my opinion. I think like you have like civilization, not so, like first world civilization. You have kind of access to the first world technologies that I've grown up privileged to have been able to use. You have a lot of opportunity out there. You can kind of say whatever you want. It's kind of similar to the American Constitution. Things are relatively similar. Sydney is supposed to be like San Francisco. So I can live in Australia. I could see myself doing pretty decent in Australia if I had to live there. Okay. That's why I picked Australia. And it's relatively warm throughout the year. It gets a little cold, but not like it never snows. I don't think. Does it snow in Australia? Oh, shit. But I don't think it gets that cold in Australia. I think Australia is like weather-wise is definitely more reminiscent of the west coast of the United States than it is like anywhere else. Okay, then there's England. I love England. I've been to England a couple times in my childhood. I've been blessed, and I really, really like it. You know, they drive on the left side of the road and they kind of speak in like weird posh accents, but I love their accents because, yeah, dude, the British accent is incredible. I might just explain why I want to live in England in this full British accent. Uh, I think honestly, like I want to live in England because I find their culture, the ancient history, the arts, all of those things to be very reminiscent of America in a lot of ways. I mean, they conquered and they colonized us for a while, so it does make sense. I think most Americans would fit in England quite well, in my opinion. I think I would fit in. Plus, there's a lot of Indians in London, and I could just put on this accent, go to Southall, and just pretend like I'm Punjabi, and we could have a great time, and we could just, vibe and do whatever the hell it is people do these days, right? I think it would work beautifully if you ask me. I don't know what the fuck accent I'm doing, but I think it would work great. Um, and then there's Canada. Canada is like the, I feel like it's our northern neighbor. Yes, I hate Canada. Yes, it gets cold. It gets cold. I don't like that. But Canada's the northern neighbor. It's a vibe. I guess I could live there if I had to. Obviously, the U.S. I don't need to explain that. Germany. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's like hella white people there, but like I could live there. The Autobahn seems kind of cool. So like if I was really in a hurry to something, I could just down the Autobahn. Also, Europe, underrated aspect of Europe. I don't necessarily know if Australia and Canada have this because I've never been there, but Europe's got great public transport. So any European country automatically has that going for it. It's probably hot take. European public transport is the best in the world. No matter where you go in Europe, I've been to a few major cities in Europe. I've been to London. I've been to I don't count going to Paris. I've been to Paris for a day, but I've been to London multiple times. I've been to Dublin in Ireland. I've been to Berlin in Germany, and all of these and a couple other European cities that are pretty big, and all of them have great public transport. You can get around their cities so freaking easily. I look at public transport in the United States, and besides for like DC, Boston, East Coast cities for the most part, public transport in this in particularly in California is absolutely garbage. So Europe has that over it. I could see myself living with that beautiful public transport. Um, Germany, yeah, it's got the Autobahn, but I don't think it's pretty, but like I don't see myself living there for some reason. I think it gets cold there too. So, Netherlands, Amsterdam could be a vibe. Amsterdam could be an absolute fucking vibe. I could see myself living in Amsterdam. Uh, but everywhere else in the Netherlands, I mean, listen, I love. Well, I forgot what I was gonna say, but the Netherlands seems pretty cool. They got the windmills and shit out there. It seems like a relatively put together country. And if I had to, I could definitely live there for a few years. If no way, if I could, for a bit. And then Italy, I mean, of course, dude. Italy is beautiful. It's massive. They've got multiple different regions of the country. It's pretty cool in all sorts of fashions. Could I see myself living there though? Probably not. I don't think I could live in Italy for an extended period of time. I know they show Priyanka Chopra and Quantico living in Italy for like 2 years before the fucking American spies come after her. But I can never live in fucking Italy. Never, ever. For that long, at least. I can live there for a bit. It could be like an extended vacation, you know? You know how like they always go and they're like, oh, we're just gonna go on the Italian vacation and just escape the realities of America. Um So, whatever that may be. But But I could see myself living in America for a decent amount of time. And so that could, or not America. What am I saying, dude? I'm tripping. Italy. I could see myself living in Italy for a decent amount of time. It could be fun. It could be fun. But also, it's the U.S. If I had to pick any of those countries, it's easily the U.S. But I mean, that's a few. That's a little list of mine in terms of where I would live. But in terms of this generation, man, they got it so good here in America. I don't understand why people be complaining about moving or like not living. Oh, equality isn't there yet. Like all of these things. I'm like, dude, dude, dude. There's a reason that America is still, I believe it's the number one country that immigrants want to go to every single freaking year. Okay, because they believe that everybody believes that there's opportunity in America, and there always has been. There always has been. Listen, yeah, you're going to get people on both sides that tell you that there isn't opportunity or that there is opportunity. And, yes, America's got hella problems. Okay, I'm not saying that freaking any of the problems that we have aren't important. Of course they are. I talk about them on a daily basis on the show. But the point is, America is like the cream of the crop in terms of first world countries. It's top 5 in the world, I would say. If you listen, if you told me tomorrow that you wanted to leave America specifically for Canada, I couldn't fault you. If you wanted to leave for England or Australia, yeah, I couldn't fault you because you're making a lateral move. You're going from one cream of the crop country to another pretty solid country where you could live in, right? If you said, I want to move from America to Zimbabwe, I'd look at you and be like, do you know who Robert Mugabe is? Do you know what hyperinflation is? Do you want to see your net worth just decrease exponentially through the years? That's what I would look at you. If you said, yo, I want to move to if I want to move to North Korea, of course I'd look at you and be like, huh, huh? Like what? Why? Right? Like, can people name like for the people that want to leave America, name 10 countries that are better and that you can actually fit into, right? A lot of people in America, particularly in our generation, love to cite the Scandinavian countries. That's their favorite thing, right? Especially when it comes to like political stuff. Oh, the Scandinavian countries have it right. Oh, Sweden. Oh, Norway. Oh, all of these various places are so much better than the US. But in reality, you probably couldn't fit into those Scandinavian countries. Why? Because number one, especially if you're from Los Angeles, California, or from California or from the West Coast, you'd go to Scandinavia and freeze to death. Okay. And that includes myself. I could never live in Scandinavia. Number two, I'm brown. You think I'd fit into that fucking literal Whiteville? There's a reason Frozen's so white, the movie, because there's no brown people in Scandinavia. Secret. There's no brown people in Scandinavia. Listen, if you're white and you're cool with the cold, yeah, you could probably fit into Scandinavia. I think most of them speak English. I'm actually not sure, but you could fit in. It's just cold as shit up there. There's not much to do. I mean, yeah, it's pretty, but there's not much to do. Like Elsa and Anna existed 500 years ago, so that's tough. But whatever. Anyway, that's what I would say. Is what countries would you want to live in besides America? It's a genuine question because I feel like there isn't very many in the world that are better. And if you guys have a counter argument, I'd love to hear it. But anyway, we got more topics to get through, right? Because we don't come here for just one thought. Anuj has so many other thoughts in the world. He has so many other things he wants to talk to you guys about. And so instead of countries, I thought I would just be like, yo, let me list my top 5 favorite cities in the world. Okay. So the lists here, these are the top 5. I'm going to go through this list, and these are kind of the top 5 favorite cities in the world, in my opinion. But for those of you that, have a different opinion, that's fine. I don't care. But these are the top 5. These are Anuj Changavi's top 5 favorite cities in the world that he's been to. Okay. There's probably better cities. There's probably more cities out there in the world that I haven't been to that I would fall in love with. But hint, most of these cities are hot weather cities, and when I was there it was warm. Okay, I don't think I have a single cold weather city on here. Actually, I have a couple, but I only went there in the summer. So in the winter I would probably have a very different experience. So top 5 cities in the world in Anuj's opinion that I have personally had the privilege of visiting. Okay, so number 1, my favorite city in the entire world, it's a city that I rep behind me every after show. San Francisco. San Francisco. People, I'm sick and tired of people from the Bay. People from the Bay are the freaking most privileged people in the entire world because not only do they get to go to not only are they just like, oh, like I I'm from the Bay, but there's like nothing to do here, and there's like I just don't like it. I'm like, dude, you literally live 45 minutes if you're from the South Bay, but if you're from other parts of the Bay, you live anywhere from 20 to 45 minutes from the probably one of the pinnacle cities in the United States of America. If you have to list, if you have to make a list of the best cities in America, San Francisco makes the top 10 or the top 500 times out of 100. I don't care how fucking stupid you are. San Francisco makes the list. It's number one. For me, I think San Francisco is one of the best cities in the world. And I use San Francisco to compare to every other city in the world. And I just there's something about it, dude. I get it. Okay, there's homeless people. It's dirty, but isn't that every city, bro? Every city's homeless. Every city has homeless people. Every city is dirty. But San Francisco's got unique neighborhoods. It's got eclectic like characters. It's just a really like unique city in terms of its character and personality, and I like it. And there's a lot of people there who argue like Oakland's better, and you're not wrong. I guess maybe. No, you're not. You're wrong. You're wrong. I like I personally, I think it's a preference. It's a toss up, honestly, between San Francisco and Oakland, in my opinion. I think San Francisco is 100% the better city, in my opinion, than Oakland, because of the fact that you just have like the amount of character that the city has. I feel like San Francisco just has like this art scene that I really dig. I personally dig. I can see why people like Oakland. Oakland is kind of like the quote unquote Brooklyn of New York City, like that type of vibe. So I could definitely see why people like Oakland. But for me, San Francisco just has always attached. It's always, I love the Golden Gate. I love the bridges, the hills, all of that stuff. It just makes the city super unique, and I like that. I mess with that vibe. The second is Boston. I went to Boston in the summer, so I've never been to Boston in the winter. I would probably hate it in the winter because it snows a lot and it's cold. But in the summer, Boston was really pretty, super easy to get around. I love the public transport in the city. Um, it's a cool city because it's got so many, again, like I like cities with like a bunch of different neighborhoods and like unique vibes, and I think Boston's got just a lot of history, obviously it being one of the original American cities, and also the fact that it's also a college town, so there's just a lot of people from a lot of different areas, and it's a multicultural city. There's different areas. The Boston Common is super unique. It's kind of like the poor man's Central Park, but I've never really been to New York, so the Boston Common was like this super cool site when I first saw it, and apparently it's really common in a lot of East Coast cities. West Coast cities don't really have like that park, right? That central location, that park, that thing. I feel like, I mean, with SF you could say it's Dolores, but like with LA, does it really have like a central park type of vibe? Not really, not particularly, in my opinion. Seattle, does Seattle have like a central park vibe? Portland, I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping, but yeah, it's there's I just thought it was super cool to have like that concept of like the center of the city is actually just a park and garden which you can walk around, and it's very, very nice. I thought that was sick. And I have to go back to Boston because the pub scene there was fantastic, but I was 17 when I was like 15 when I visited, and I couldn't drink, so that was tough, but I really want to go back for sure. Number 3 on this list is Miami. I've been to Miami for a total of 24 hours, and I want to go back. I've been wanting to go back since I last visited in 2017. I had a great time. I went with my family and stuff. It was really fun. I love Miami. I thought it was so cool. It was very unique compared to other cities that I'd visited because it's like a beachfront city. And I know there's a few beachfront cities in the world, but Miami for me was like, it was super cool because I think it's called Ocean Drive, has just all these bars, and it's like down the street. It literally looked like adult Disneyland from when we would just walk the streets. And it was popping. I didn't get to go to any clubs. Obviously, I was 17 and I was with my family, and you would really expect me to go into clubs. But it just had a cool vibe to it. Everybody was just upbeat. Felt like a really just young, hip city. We went in the middle of December. It was absolutely perfect weather wise. and I only got to spend one night there, and I'm so mad. It was only one day. I have to go back at some point. I've heard Coral Gables, which is where the University of Miami is, really nice around there. Definitely want to explore the area more. I went to Wynwood Walls, which is like apparently where all the girls take Instagram pictures, and that was fun. It was cool, but like, I just want to be around Miami more. And from the one night that I was in Miami for, it was a great time. And it ranked highly on my list for a reason, because I thought it was super cool. Number 4 is London. I love London. Arguably, then these are also no particular order, by the way. I love London. I think London's super just unique in that it is literally one of the oldest cities in the world, but also there's so much life, there's so much character. It's so modern, and it really combines like all the best American cities into one. I told someone that, or like someone described London to me as like it's part San Francisco, it's part Chicago, it's part DC, it's part New York, and it's just and it's like got the best European clubbing in the world. And it's truly like London is such a vibe. I went there 2 years ago. It's when I'm in London, I'm happy. I really like that city. It's probably one of my favorite international cities. It is my favorite international city. The only place I could see myself living outside the United States, pretty much like realistically. I know it gets cold, but I recently watched Ted Lasso, and I want to go back so bad. I want to go back. I want to go back to London. Oh my gosh, it's so great. And if you do go places to visit, what did I really like? I really liked. I just love going on the underground, and it's like, please mind the gap, mind the gap. I love that. But we walked all around the city. You know, what was cool in London? Went to the Tower of London, which was pretty fun. I'm trying to remember what was cool. It's been 3 years, but it feels like it's been 18. So that sucks. I can't really like register things off the top of my head that I loved. All I know is Dishoom is really overrated. So for those of you that like Indian food and are told that Dishoom is the best Indian food in London, don't wait 2 hours in line. That's the one thing I remember from London. But Notting Hill, man. Notting Hill was so cool. It was raining that day when we were there, when we were walking through the city, but it was so much fun. I loved Notting Hill for some reason. And next time I go back to London, I gotta try fish and chips. The thing is, I went with my vegetarian family, so it was tough, to get fish and chips and all that. But I definitely want to go back and get some fish and chips and do more stuff in London because I love it, and I want to do more of the countryside too in England because that was so much fun. And yeah. And then number 5 on the list is Vienna. Vienna is in Austria. For those of you that don't know, Vienna is super cool. I really, really like out of most of the European cities, like London and Vienna are my 2 favorites. I like Vienna mostly because of the history, not more so because like of livability. I just enjoyed the fact that it's super historical. And people talk about like Paris and Venice as being like the 2 really marquee European cities in the world, but I would beg to differ. I've been to Venice, and I thought it was one of the most overrated places I've ever been to in my life. It's so touristy, it's crowded, it's disgusting. I did not like Venice, but I have been to what's it called, Vienna, and I thought Vienna was so underrated. The cafes in the middle of the street, you can walk, and it's such a vibe. Vienna is, if you have never been to, if you want to go and experience like a true European city, go to Vienna. There's like palaces. There's Salzburg's like 45 minutes away. It's truly just one of my favorite cities that I've been to. I've had the absolute privilege of going twice to Vienna, and I highly recommend it. It is gorgeous. Vienna is definitely up there for me, and I want to go back. Definitely want to go back to Vienna. Oh, absolutely. It is the history there. Unbelievable. Love it. Okay. So those are my 5 favorite cities. And then number 6 is LA. I have to put it in there because it definitely is in my top 10 of favorite cities and definitely could have made my top 5. There's an argument. In terms of just pure livability, I think LA is like one of the it ranks way higher for me, but it definitely is not my favorite city in the entire world. That's for the Bay, baby. That's for this and for this. Niners and Warriors for a reason because I love my city. But number 6 is LA. I shit on LA because it's SoCal and I'm from NorCal and all this, but LA is one of my favorite cities for a reason. It's beautiful. It's sunny most of the year. You got so many different things happening there. It's constantly moving. Everything is constantly working, and I I love that about it. I love Los Angeles for that reason. So, number 6. Listen, these topics are moving way too slow for me. Okay. So, those are my 5 favorite cities. If you guys have any other opinions, I would love to hear it. What are your 5 favorite cities? What is the vibe, man? What cities can you see yourself living in that you've been to? And that list is so variable to change because I could go to new cities tomorrow and just be like, oh my gosh, fall in love with Chicago. I fall in love with New York City. I've never been to New York City. I've been once. I was like 5 years old, but I don't remember any of it. So anyway, there's a lot to learn. There's a lot more to visit, and I'm excited. So we'll get into that when we get into that, and I will definitely update the list as we move on with life. Okay. Euphoria, man. This is what I've been meaning to talk about and talk to you guys about for a while. I wanted to wait a bit because I feel like when you first finish watching a show, you have a really emotional reaction. It's kind of like when you first consume anything, it's more emotional than it is um analytical and thinking from your head. And I think throughout watching season 2 of Euphoria, you definitely saw a lot of my emotion come out. You can technically, if you're on YouTube, you can look at my nameplate and it says Lexi Howard's #1 fan. What the hell just happened? That was weird. My camera's been acting up. So apologies for the fucking weird shit that's going on. The Matrix entering my world. But I am Lexi Howard's #1 fan, and I'm here to break down Euphoria because season 2 wrapped up 2 weeks ago. We're expecting to wait anywhere from 1.5 to 2 years, I think, for season 3 to come out. It's going to take a while, but honestly, with Euphoria, it's one of those shows where I'm willing to take the wait because it's been so good. It's delivered such a quality product that why should I complain? Well, I don't want a quick turnaround. Take your time, write your stories, take your time with it, pace it well, and yeah. Okay, but I'm here to talk about the post-mortem of season 2. Listen, season 1 of Euphoria will forever go down, in my opinion, as one of the greatest TV show season 1s of all time. It was so good. It was a near perfect season 1. I don't even think you can get. There was probably a couple minor things that they could have fixed, but overall, season 1 of Euphoria is masterful. You cannot get any better than that. And season 2 had a lot to live up to. And that's quite frankly what it was. I mean, season 1 was beautiful because every single one of the main characters got built up equally, in my opinion, except for, Lexi, who kind of came on strong a little bit in season 2. But every single one of the main crew gets built up at season 1, and Euphoria does and Sam Levinson did such a beautiful job of literally taking every episode and constructing it for each character and giving them their fair share of time, which is amazing. Like, that's what I love about the show, is I feel like I know every single character super well because we have these like well versed backstories into their lives, and we know their inner psyches and all of these things, and it's super cool. And that's what I loved about season 1 was just like the first 20 minutes of each episode was dedicated to like fully understanding the complete dichotomy of a person. And then you'd move into the actual story, which just made you feel deeper and deeper for every single character. Season 2, you couldn't have that because at a certain point, you pretty much had built up every single one of these characters, and that was your main crew that you were going to run with. And then what was weird about season 2 was the pacing felt off because it was the first season where they didn't have to do any of those character intros, which, that was kind of the structure for season 1, is you'd open on a character, basically you'd open on Rue basically explaining her narrative of this, like of the various teenager that they were exploring that day, right? Whether it be Maddie, whether it be Nate, whether it be McKay, whether it be Cassie, whoever, right? And Rue would go on for like 15-20 minutes. You'd get to see the fucking inner full picture of this Euphoria character, and then you'd move into the episode. Season 2 didn't have that. Season 2 is just straight up like events, and it looked like they were kind of lost at points. It looked like they were trying to do too much, and quite frankly, in a lot of places, the show kind of took a step back a little bit. But I think that's normal. And I think a lot of people who are disappointed in season 2 are those who are younger fans. They're those who are not willing to really have patience. They just want that quality instant gratification. But you're not going to get that with this show. I feel like Euphoria is going to be one of those shows that's a slow play. And you have a great season 1. You have season 1 is fantastic across the board. But this is what I'll say about season 2. Season 2 had higher highs than season 1, but it was less consistent than season 1. And so the lows were a lot lower. That's how I'd say season 2 was. I mean, I think season 2, the opening 2 episodes of season 2 are absolutely unbelievable, in my opinion. I think the way that they opened, I was literally like, oh my God, are we going to get a better season than season 1? This is just fantastic. And then it kind of started to teeter a little bit. Then you started to kind of encounter some pacing issues, some encountering of like all sorts of different characters, too many storylines to keep up with at certain points, and kind of the cutoffs of certain storylines, like storylines that just weren't covered after a certain point. Just things kind of got all out of whack for a second. Basically past episode 3, there was a few episodes that just kind of went off the rails, and then episode 5 hit. You had the beautiful acting performance from Zendaya. I mean, can I just say, like, the acting in this show is absolutely phenomenal. If I could, I would just nominate the whole cast for various Emmy nominations and have them sweep, because this is the best. Like, I'll tell you who deserves an Emmy right now. I said at the beginning of this year that I thought Maude Apatow was going to win an Emmy for Lexi. I don't think so now. But actually, I think Sydney Sweeney is going to win. Sydney Sweeney has to be nominated for a fucking Emmy for this performance of Cassie. It is incredible. I'd say Alexa Diemi deserves an Emmy for Maddie. At least for season 1, she deserved. I don't know if she got nominated for season 1. Did she? I'd say, what's his name? Eric Dane, I think, who plays Cal Jacobs, deserves a fucking supporting character Emmy. Zendaya, of course, puts on a show in puts on an acting masterclass in episode 5. And yeah, I think Angus Cloud, like, they're all so freaking phenomenal at what they do. It's ridiculous. They all should be nominated for everything. It's truly, like, I think so. But in terms of season 2, was it worse than season 1? Yes. Does it deserve a lower grade than season 1? Absolutely. But was it still quality television? Let me tell you something. A B for Euphoria is an A plus for any other show. Like, that's just the way that we have to look at this show. It's just Euphoria is ahead of every single television show of this time right now. What are better shows than Euphoria right now that are out? That are airing. Maybe I haven't heard of a few. Maybe I'm not well versed, but I like to think I'm pretty well versed in TV. And I'd say the 2 shows right now that are like leading this generation, that this generation is absolutely committed to, are Ted Lasso. I'd say it's 3: Ted Lasso, The Morning Show, kind of, and Euphoria. And those are the 3 shows right now that are just fucking taking over. I would say Ted Lasso and Euphoria more so. I'd say The Morning Show isn't even really there, to be honest. I'd say The Morning Show is more popular with like older millennials and stuff. But I'd say with my generation of like 18 to 24, Ted Lasso and Euphoria are probably the 2 most synonymously popular shows in our generation. It is not even close. And they're polar opposites, like I've talked about, but Euphoria is miles and miles and miles. I would say like multiple miles above Ted Lasso. And Ted Lasso is great. Ted Lasso is really fucking good. They're in different genres, but I'd say just Euphoria is, in my opinion, just a masterclass of television right now. It is above everything else. It's top of the line TV. And I mean, I understand it's not everyone's cup of tea. It's very extreme. There's a lot of sex and nudity and violence and triggering moments, and that's fine. And I understand why people don't like it. But for me, it is right now one of the best shows on TV. Is it my best show of all time? I can't say that yet. But right now, it's definitely up there. It's up there. I just cannot wait for season 3. But I want them to take their time with it because it's that type of show. That being said, though, season 2 did have its issues. It did have pacing issues. There were certain moments where I couldn't keep up with everything. It kind of lost track. It kind of went off the rails a little bit. You're starting to see kind of reports in the press of like Sam Levinson really expecting a lot from his actors and actresses. And I don't know if and Euphoria seems like a type of show where they really take their time and they really spend every single minute of the day going over their details and making sure everything is perfect. And I don't know if that's necessarily a conducive environment for an actor and actress. I don't know. Again, there are a lot of reports going around saying that the environment on Euphoria set was really tough, but a lot of actors and actresses have gone on and denied that and kind of downplayed it a little bit, backtracked. But Euphoria right now, in my opinion, it's miles and away one of the best shows. And as long as the cast continues to, remain committed to the show, and I think as long as Sam Levinson continues to sort of write the way he's been writing and kind of look to fix the minor issues that were going on in season 2, I think Euphoria is in for a fucking Sopranos type run, in my opinion. I think this is going to be really, really good. Anyway, that's what I have to say about Euphoria. And remember, I am Lexi Howard's #1 fan, and Maud Apatow is the GOAT. I love her. Letter writing problems. This was something that came up today, actually, on a typical Monday morning with Anuj. I had to write a letter to someone, and I wrote the envelope. I did the whole thing. I put the letter in. I licked my lips on the fucking whatever, the seal, and I closed the letter, and I messed up. So basically, I think I wrote the return address, or I wrote the person I was sending the letter to on top when that's where you're supposed to write your address. And then I wrote my address at the bottom, and my dad thought it was the most hilarious thing. He's like, "Oh, you're such a fool. You don't even know how to write a letter. You talk on your podcast all day, but you don't even know how to write a letter." That was what happened, right? And he thought it was the funniest thing in the world. I genuinely can sit here and tell you, I do not know how to write a letter. I don't know. I in terms of the formatting and all of that, I looked it up on the internet and it said I was right. And then I showed it to him and he said I was wrong. And then he gave me a new envelope and he taught me how to do it. And you have to put the stamp in the corner and this, that, and other. Did you ever get taught how to write a letter in elementary school? I'm sorry. Did you ever? I got taught how to write an email beautifully in elementary school, and that's a skill that I'm really good at. But I can't fucking format a letter for my life. Is this just a Gen Z problem? Or is it just a me problem? I don't know. I genuinely have no idea as to how to feel about the letters. I know how to write it, but I know how to write a letter on the inside, but the formatting and all that shit, I had no idea. Apparently it's common sense, but I'm just a fucking idiot, I guess. Because I can't write a freaking letter for the life of me. In terms of the formatting, I don't know, man. Listen, this is a Gen Z problem. But I'm sure there are more people out there that do not know how to format a letter. It's not just me. And I'm here to prove a point because I'm going to post this clip on TikTok and y'all are going to tell me if you know how to write a letter or not. Because listen, and your parents probably laugh at you, or your older people in your life are probably like, "Ha ha ha, you're so dumb. You don't know how to write a letter, honey. You're stupid." Right? And my dad was saying the same thing. He's just like, "You're a fool." He sent it to my family group chat. He thought it was so hilarious. He thought it was so funny that this letter that I sent was wrong. And he thought it was so hilarious. And then my brother, who's not much older than me, texts back like, "LOL, what? What's wrong with it? Why?" And that proved my point. I was like, no one knows how to write a fucking letter these days. No one actually handwrites letters. If you handwrite letters, shout out to you. I want to be friends with you if you handwrite letters. I have a few friends of mine who handwrite postcards and send me sent me birthday cards in the past and all of that. And I appreciate it like hell. I've never sent them anything back because I guess I don't know how to write a fucking letter. I'm incapable apparently. So that's rough. But yeah, that's what happened this morning when I was trying to write a letter for tax related reasons to my beautiful babe and dame. I was writing a beautiful love letter to the Internal Revenue Service, and it just blew up in my face. I couldn't even send it. Dude. I couldn't even send it. Okay. Let's move on because counselors are motherfucking useless, man. Counselors are useless. I call a lot of people useless on this show. That's what I've been called out like this recently. A lot of people have been telling me, "Anuj, you call everybody fucking useless. And I do. Quite frankly, I call a lot of people on this show useless. I call Anderson Cooper kind of useless. I said Hassan Minaj was useless before, but I disagree with that take now. I think he's pretty cool. I said Adam Levine needs to retire. He saw it. It was the first thing that ever happened to me, and I thought I was going to get canceled before I even got one follower. What other outlandish takes have I made? I said I was going to become the Brown D'Amelio brother. They haven't adopted me yet, so like Heidi and Mark, where you at, B? Where you at? Where you at, Holmes? Can you adopt me into your creator family, please? Please, I want cloud. Anyway, I'm here to tell you that counselors are also useless. And sorry, Miss Young, my high school counselor, if you watch this, all love, but your guys' professions kind of suck, low key. High school counselors, listen, high school counselors were more useful. Okay, Miss Young, I'll give you some credit. Even though you didn't believe in me, I'll give you some credit. Nah, she kind of believed in me, I guess, a little bit. I don't know. I just like never really talked to her, to be honest. She thought I should have dropped all my math classes, and I ended up passing all of them, and I ended up going to college. So, Miss Young, sup. But nah, Miss Young was fine. But like high school counselors are cool, right? Like at least they're understanding and they kind of guide you, even though like a lot of their job is to sort of advise you on like what to do for college, and they don't really have much good advice other than you have to do the independent research on your own, and we'll review the research and we'll see if it's fine, and then if we will tell you very straight up if you can't get into that school. So that's pretty much what that is in high school. But college counselors are way worse, man. They're mad worse, particularly community college counselors. I don't know how many of you go to community college. Okay, it's probably a low demographic within this community that I'm talking to, especially right now. But for those of you that go to community college and even like state schools, I'm sure, and UCs, you can tell me how fucking useless counselors are. They're so useless. They don't do anything. You literally go up to them. You have to have all your work done, and all I need them for is a fucking signature. They don't advise you for shit. They don't guide you. They did not. I had an appointment with a counselor because, and here's the thing, right? Especially with community college, you need good counselors, but you don't get good counselors because the counselors God knows where they are. The accessibility is tough, probably because it's also online, so you can't just walk into their office and like demand an appointment. But also, they at De Anza in particular, where I go to community college, but there's also like a bunch of other community colleges, and I've heard this as like a continuous narrative. They do such a shitty job explaining the transfer process. No one ever tells you like what forms to fill out, where you need to go, what is a tag agreement, how do you apply to the UC transfer portal, how do you apply to the CSU transfer portal, how does it all work in the grand scheme of things, what are the deadlines. I never got told shit. I got told, go to this link and read this information. And then I had to do a bunch of Google searches. And then there was this girl called Dollar Katie, I think that was her name. And she had a bunch of videos on like tag and CSUs and like how to apply as a transfer student. And she greatly helped me. So shout out Katie on YouTube. Katie on YouTube was more of a counselor than my own fucking counselor, Deanza. I don't even know her name. I don't even know her name. I don't even know the fucking counselors in general. They're pretty goddamn useless. You have to go to them with your questions. You have to go to them with the answer. Like they don't answer shit. They literally do nothing. I don't know what they do. Particularly at community college, because they should be doing a better job of explaining the transfer process, because there are a lot of kids out there who are absolutely confused. There are kids who are coming to me and asking me questions like I'm their counselor. Like, where do I register for classes? Dude, I don't know, bro. Like, I'm trying to figure this stuff out as much as you are. I had to figure out pretty much everything related to community college on my own. And this is the problem, right? Because counselors, yes, first world problem, absolutely. But here's where it gets tricky. I'm so lucky and fortunate that I have the patience and I have the resources to be able to look these things up, and I can talk to people and I can have these conversations with like multiple different people in terms of like what is tag, what is this, what is that, because I have people in my life that have been to college. Imagine the first generation college student that's sitting there. Like, I have no fucking idea what to do, where to start, stage one, any of it. And they have no resources because no one in their family's gone to college. How is that useful? You need counselors who are actually going to fucking counsel people and take them to the right position. It's the truth. And it doesn't get done in community college. I've heard horror stories from state colleges and UCs where I've had friends who've waited in the line for hours to change their major, to petition to graduate, to get denied, to basically have these counselors tell them that what they're doing is wrong and that they were doing stuff wrong the whole time and all of this shit. And it's bull. It's absolutely bullshit. What the fuck? Like, I don't even understand it. And that's the truth, man. Counselors are pretty fucking overrated, and they're pretty useless because they don't help guide you and they don't help guide anyone who really needs the help. And I'm lucky that I have the resources I have access to resources that are, able to like access help and find ways to like get me, figure out the process. But there's so many people out there who don't have that. So for the love of God, counselors, for the people who don't have the resources that I do or have, people in my life that I do that help me through the process, counselors, please do your job. Please. Or community colleges, please hire competent people who actually explain the situation of tag and of transferring and all of these things, because it's high stakes for a lot of kids too, man, because all these kids want to go to a 4-year university and they top and transfer and all of these things, but the support system isn't good and it needs to be better. I've sent like 8, 9, 10 emails to community college counselors with zero response back. I had to like go out of my way, drop into appointments, do this, do that to like even get an appointment to like for people to be like, for me to be like, can I switch my major to communication? Like, is this right? And my class is okay. And then she basically gave me no answer and I had to figure it out on my own. And I wrote out my own plan. You have to be extremely self-motivated if you want to go to community college. That's the point I'm trying to make, I guess. But also it shouldn't be that way. And there should be a lot of help as well, because this is a tough time and not a lot of people know what they're doing, man. So I think a lot of people would appreciate more competent counselors, not only on the community college level, but also on the state college level and the UC college level. Um, I got lucky because when I initially went to school at Redlands, I had an academic advisor and it was a professor, and Kelly was the best fucking academic advisor of all time. I would trade anything to have Kelly back because she was so awesome. She kept me on top of my shit all the time. She was so great. Shout out Kelly. Kelly, if you're listening to this, what's up? Hello from my parents' house, from my childhood bedroom floor. I say hi to you, Kelly, because Kelly is a freaking G. So any of you that go to Redlands, Kelly's a motherfucking G. Okay, we have a few more topics to get through, and I want to get through them as fast as possible because we're at the 47-minute mark. So I'm going to do a couple of these real quick. This is the mentality that I was taught as a kid, okay? And what a transition. This is the mentality I was taught as a kid. I'm so lucky that I grew up with more progressive Indian parents, is what I would say, than a lot of other kids with Indian parents out there. I know kids who come from very traditionalist backgrounds of like, oh, you have to get a doctor, you have to become a doctor or an engineer. I know kids who kind of come from moderate backgrounds that are like, you have to get a job outside of college. Like you have to work 9 to 5, you have to work corporate for the rest of your life. And then I know kids who come from parents who are like, yo, do whatever the fuck you want. I come from like the middle ground of all of that because my parents were so encouraging of me growing up to go after my passions. I think they knew from pretty much day one of elementary school that I couldn't do fucking math. And so they were like, okay, do whatever you like. And so they saw that I was good at creating stuff and creativity, but they saw I sucked at art, but they saw that I was funny and I could get people's attention and talk and all of this stuff. So they were like, do that. And so I got encouraged to do all of these creative things. But I feel like now that I'm 20 or 21, it's like, dream, you can do all that 100%, but are you going to be making 100K out of college? That's the thing, right? That's where everything just kind of goes out the window, is like, are you going to make 100K out of college? You can dream all you want, bro. Dream, that's fantastic. Follow your passions, but are you going to make $200,000? Are you going to have a steady living? Are you going to make a paycheck? Are you going to make the type of money that I expect from you? I don't fucking know. I don't know, and that's the thing, right? Is I feel like that's that's the new mentality that people are expected to have, right? Because they see because a lot of people have big dreams in today's society. I'd say Gen Z is the biggest dreamer generation of all time, and I think that's in such a good way because that's big dreams are the only way you're going to get big stuff done, and being growing up in a traditional or growing up in like an immigrant household, you're kind of expected to like follow the rules and like do the things, and not really like follow your dreams and kind of take the safe path and make sure you build yourself a good life and all these things. And that's also a fantastic way to look at life. But quite frankly, I am just the opposite of that. I'm the person who's like, okay, I'm gonna dream and just be fucking impulsive and then like worry about everything else later. So that doesn't really fit with like the other side of the coin where my parents and the rest of the members of my community are like, haha, you're gonna be making money out of school. You're not gonna be making money out of school. You need to do something different. Right? That's pretty much what that is. But I've noticed that's kind of like what the mentality has been for me for a long time. Is like you can dream, you can passion, you can have passions, you can have side projects, but you need to make the money. The money needs to come at some point because otherwise you are gonna die alone, alone, alone. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what's going to happen. I'm singing at 11:47 in the night because I'm tired as shit. But I have a couple more topics I want to get through, particularly this one. I got off the plane. Listen, I've been thinking a lot about love. Okay, not in that way, but like love on TV and the iconic songs that play behind the beautiful kissing scenes where it's the season 5 finale of How I Met Your Mother and Ted's running out one way and the scientist is playing in the background and Robin's like Ted and Robin's and Ted's like Robin and she's like I guess we're getting back together. You see a little beautiful. Actually, that's Yellow. My bad. And it was all yellow and they're like making out, right? Like I love that vibe. That vibe is like my favorite vibe. And so I curated this very specific playlist on Spotify called I Got Off the Plane, where it's every season finale song that you can ever think of. So I'm talking like Yellow, of course, is on there. The Scientist, Feel Again by One Republic, Burning Bridges, a couple Lumineers songs in there, of course, for good measure. Parachute, You and Me, Philadelphia, the vibes, It's like every time there's like a beautiful romantic moment in a show and there's a song playing in the background, I Got Off the Plane has that playlist. Why is this playlist named I Got Off the Plane? Because of the most iconic series finale of all time with the most iconic moment. Rachel? Jennifer Aniston's face. Ross, I got off the plane. Right? And then it ends. And it's beautiful. And I'm like, yo, I need to make a playlist of all the songs that play during these types of moments and this vibe. And it's so particular and it's so specific that nobody gives a fuck except me and like 3 other people. But the people that really give a fuck to the extreme of fucks. That made no sense. But I Got Off the Plane is an incredible playlist. And basically what I'm trying to say is if you want that type of vibe for a playlist, if you want that specific thing, follow me on Spotify. Just search up I Got Off the Plane. It'll be like by Anuj Changavi. You can look it up. You can follow me there. And it's a good playlist. And I'm telling you, it's got all the songs that you never thought of would be on there are on there. Okay, listen, my computer battery is at 3%. I had one more topic to cover, but I'll do it kind of separately. I'll do a little sideshow. We'll call it a little sideshow action this week. So we'll talk about that in a TikTok or something. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming to the Changavi After Show. I know this was a lot of ranting. I know this was a lot of me talking shit, but hopefully you get to know me a little better. Hopefully you get to know my unconscious stream of thoughts. As a creator, I have to put in the reps, and this is just another show down. Episode 12 done. If you guys like the show, feel free to like on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button because we're at 57 subscribers, and that's really fucking low. I think I should be better. I got a ring light. I'm basically legit, so I should be higher in my subscriber count. So go hit the subscribe button. If you're on Instagram, or if you're on Spotify, hit the follow button. Go ahead and hit the like button also on Spotify. Favorite me as one of your favorite podcasts, because that helps me greatly about getting on other people's podcasts for you pages. But yeah, if you guys are over any listening to this on any podcasting platform, feel free to leave me a review. If you're listening to this on Spotify, feel free to hit the follow button. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. You know the drill. Follow me on social media at the Changavi Show on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok. Great on all those things. We're at 90 followers on TikTok, by the way. That's incredible. Anyway, I'm at 1%. This is Anuj Changavi signing off from the Bay Area, from his parents' house, from his bedroom floor. That's all I got. Thank you guys so much. Peace.